Let us now move on to the response that Moshe received subsequent to his raising the Aral Sfatayim speech impediment. There are two difficulties with the response. One has already been raised. The second is an outgrowth of Rashi's response to that first difficulty. The first difficulty was that at face value, Pasuk Bet is superfluous. In light of the fact that the response to Aral Sfatayim is found in Pasuk Aleph, where God says, V'yara nachicha yihye neviecha, neviecha understood as a spokesperson. And with this, God is informing Moshe that just as Aharon was his spokesperson in his dealings with Bnei Yisrael, so too Aharon would fulfill that role in his communication of God's wishes to Paro. Then, in the very next pasuk, we have a repeat of the same piece of information, that V'Aharon achicha yedaber el Paro. Rashi seems to forewarn this duplication by suggesting that the chidush of pasuk Bet is to change the transmission process whereby both Moshe and Aharon would be speaking to Paro, and it is as if there are two statements being made in pasuk Bet. One, Ata yidaber et kol asher atzaveka el Paro, which according to Rashi was Pam Achat, and also V'Aharon achicha yedaber el Paro, for the purpose of translation and clarification. There is, though, a more pressing problem based upon Rashi's understanding of Aral Sfatayim. If, as Rashi maintains, Aral Sfatayim suggests that Moshe could not speak in any way, shape or form, his lips were blocked, then we will have a problem with the Ata Tedaber, in which God informs Moshe that he will be speaking. Clearly, if Moshe could not speak, then God could not demand from Moshe that Ata Tedaber et kol asher atzaveka. A response to this difficulty will be found in the change that Rashi makes from what should have been called tzivui v'tzivui, as per the Chumash wording, to kol shlichut u'shlichut. A simple, straightforward reading of Ata Tedaber is that it reflects a demand that kol asher atzaveka, all that I shall command you, you are to communicate. From the standpoint of Rashi, as mentioned earlier, this reading of Ata Tedaber is problematic on account of the fact that the ability of Moshe Rabbeinu to communicate through speech was almost non-existent. He was an Aral Sfatayim. If we are to sustain Rashi's understanding of Aral Sfatayim, we will need to take a more nuanced approach to Pasuk Bet. This the Rebbe does in his SICHAH by suggesting that, in addition to it being a command, it is also a havtacha, a promise, a guarantee, as well as a nitinat koach to Moshe Rabbeinu. That despite the fact that you are an Aral Sfatayim, says God, I will give you the ability to daber, so that whenever you speak in my name, the Aral Sfatayim speech impediment will not be a hindrance. In the words of the Medrash and Kabbalah, Shechinah medaberet mitoch grono shel Moshe, that Moshe was the vehicle through which the Shechinah spoke. Putting this concept in simple terms, the Shechinah took over the voice mechanism of Moshe Rabbeinu in order to communicate information to either Paro or the Bnei Yisrael. In effect, Moshe was a sheliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu whenever he spoke in the name of God. This concept is reflected in the change that Rashi makes from the Chumash text Atzaveka, which Rashi should have reflected in his commentary with the words called Tzivui v'Tzivui, but choosing instead Kol Shlichut u'Shlichut. And this is because whenever he spoke without the Aral Sfatayim impediment, he was in actuality a shaliach, a vehicle through which HaKadosh Baruch Hu communicated to mankind. As an aside, and digressing for a moment from the SICHAH text, Rashi rarely, if ever, quotes openly from Sifrei Kabbalah. However, as much as he is a Pshuta Shel Mikra individual, he does utilize Kabbalistic ideas as a basis for the Pshuta Shel Mikra. This thesis can be seen here in his commentary to Ata Tedaber. The Kabbalistic concept of Shechinah medaberet has its Pshuta Shel Mikra counterpart with Rashi's understanding of Ata Tadaber, overcoming the problem of Moshe's Aral Sfatayim, that it was Kol Shlichut Ushlichut.